Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Nuria Marco, and I'm from Asociación Cetacea. And today I'm presenting you our citizen science project, which is Amics del Mar, or Friends of the Sea. Next one, please. Okay, so just so you know what we are doing, we are an NGO. We're founded in 2012, and we are self-financed, and all of us are volunteers trying to study the cetacean presence in the Catalan coast. Also, we study about the seabirds in the coast, which is northwest from Barcelona. Our main objectives are the research of this species here, also the communication of these characteristics and to the public, and also we have an educational program, so we bring to schools and high schools and whatever. So next one, please. Just a little bit about our area of study. As you can see here in the maps, we are in the northwestern coast of Barcelona. Our main port is Sitges, and our study area is 25 miles from the coast. And this area is important because it's a very hot spot of biodiversity, because the area which is painted in red are submarine canyons, which area with deeper waters and more biodiversity of the species. And also we have as we work, we collect data from a boat that we have in Sitges, and we sail for a day, and we collect all the data we can gather from the cetacean presence. We identify the individuals, we have catalogs, and we assess information about their diet, their behavior, their seasonal changes, etc. So we have three main projects. The first one, which is the photo identification project, is the one that I was explaining to you, is our first project and the biggest one, and it's the one that we made by collecting data from the boat by our volunteers and expert people that join us. Also, we have the project Plomes al Mar, which is our seabird project. Whenever we are collecting data from cetaceans, we also collect data from seabirds in this area. And the last but not least, we have our citizen science project, which is Amics del Mar. That is the one that brings us here today. So next one. Just going deeper to the citizen science project, what we try to do here is to collect all the data that we are missing from not being there. So as I said, we work from Sitges, from the south of Barcelona, but the Catalan coast is bigger than that, and we know that there's cetacean presence everywhere. So what we want to do with that is collecting the data that people it's watching at sea, and collecting this data to expand our research area. So what we do is we collect data from the people which is at sea, which is sailmen, fishermen, or just people that spend the day at sea. We collect this data through the web forms, with usually it's direct contact by phone. They have our contact and then just send us by WhatsApp or whatever the data. And also we made that QR code here that we put on our social media, and then you can use, and it's maybe the easier way to send us the data of cetacean presence. So next one. So how we work with the data? First, what I explained, we have outreach campaigns to expand the project and let people know about we have this project here, and we are interested in all the cetacean data that you can have just going by the beach one day and seeing dolphins there, but this thing can happen here. So we collect all this data with the forms or even direct information. And what we do here after that, it's the data validation. So we collect all the data and we have to check if it's right or if it's wrong. Usually what we have is misidentifications, like the ones that we have here in the pictures are species that are clearly cetaceans, but they were not correctly identified from the species they were. So we have to collect this data. Correct this data. Next one. So a little bit of our results. This year we present in the European Cetacean Conference in Italy in April. We presented our first results of these projects. From 2017 to 2023, we collected almost 300 sightings from citizens. And what we can say is that 73% were valid, which is a great number. and we're used it for the project. Is the map that we have here at the left. I'm not going to stop there, but you can see we can difference from species, and we have presence of all the species that we have here, which is great. And from the data that we collected, the 56% were outside our area of study. So this is great. You can see it here at right, when in yellow we see our data that we collected from the standardized research form in our vessel. And in purple, we can see the one that people gave us. So what we do here is just compare this data to see if there's some kind of similarities, or if we can just expand our data to further than our research area. So next one. So for us, how we do community engagement, for us the communication is key. We speak face to face to people. We try to be as more next to them and more warm to them as we can. And what we saw from these years is that it's important to keep people interested in the project. We usually, this way we can have more data and more valuable information. We try to do continuous training. If someone gives us information that it's not correct, we try to help them to understand why it's not correct, why this species is not this one and it's the other one, like the characteristics of each species that maybe they are missing. And also we try to do feedback to the community by sending them the results that I saw you before, or telling them, okay, so this species is usually in this area, or this animal is usually in this area, and so. And so of course, we have room for improvement, and what we're trying to do is to increase collaboration with another collectives, even fishermen, schools, tourist agencies, or even this kind of talks. And also, we would like to do is to carry specific information from people, because sometimes it's just amateur observers, and we would like to do like more properly formation of this, at least the ones that are more common, collaborating with us. So that's all for me. If you have any questions, I would love to answer, but we don't know we have time.
Great. Thanks so much, Nuria. Yeah, unfortunately, in the interest of time, I think we will continue. But please, if you have any questions for Nuria, you can always put them in the Q&A or in the chat. And then with that, I will say we will continue with Anastasia from Archipelagos. Anastasia, can you turn on your microphone?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I think you can see me as well. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Good to see you and connect with everyone again. You find me on board the Aegean Explorer, a research vessel, and I'm happy to have signal to be able to speak with you. Our contribution to this dialogue and to this brainstorming is how can we not train the local communities, but also learn from them. Here in the Mediterranean, here in the Aegean Sea, we have spent more than 25 years with Archipelagos Institute working very closely with the local communities. And what we realize is that they have an invaluable knowledge that they have, and they transfer from generation to generation. And as fisheries becomes devaluated because of all the known problems and the bad European and national policies, we're losing the fishermen, and we're not losing this knowledge. So we are investing a lot of time and effort in Archipelagos Institute. If you want to move to the next slide, in order to understand and learn and exchange knowledge. Very few words about Archipelagos Institute of Marine Conservation. We are an NGO based in Greece, a Greek NGO, but we're comprised of a very international team of people who have not only the scientific skill, but also a lot of passion for protection of the environment. We're very conscious that the problems are increasing, and the policies are very slow in enforcement, so we need to work with the communities for conservation. So we're linking science with outreach and cooperation with local communities. And in this process, I have to say that more than 20 years ago, we realized this invaluable source of information. There is so many data they have, fishermen especially, but also other members of the local communities that can be invaluable for us all. And also we have obviously knowledge that we can share back. So if we all have the same concern, protecting the seas, citizen science and local ecological knowledge is an invaluable platform that we can build upon. Next slide, please. So we've seen many times colleagues from Athens, from other European cities coming and expecting to give out a questionnaire and expect fishermen to give us data. This is one, it needs time. They will not. It needs time. It needs lots of time, lots of patience. And first of all, we need to invest time with every new community to build trust, to build respect, to understand that we're not going to exploit them. We're going to go for the common goal, which is the protection of the sea and exchange knowledge. I'm not only listening, exploiting you and getting your knowledge, but I give you back mine, and we find our gaps and we fill in them together. Then if we publish a paper based on your results, we show you, we share with you. If we make an article in the media, we share that. And that, for us, it took us more than 10 years to build the trust and a lot of persistence and our constant presence and sea in many locations. And now we are exchanging knowledge, and we are have an open dialogue with the land fishermen for different areas. In the picture here, you have the artisanal fisherman on an island with 40 inhabitants who is marking the location of Posidonia seagrass meadows, which actually proved to be 95% accurate compared to the mapping we did afterwards. Next slide. What is very important, just to finish off with the cooperation of the fishermen, is for in our experience not to get 100 fishermen and get the average, but knowing the community, knowing the people who are knowledgeable and smart and have the capacity to share this knowledge, use selectively 1, 2, 3 people, and they get detailed data from them rather than getting the whole community and getting a huge bias. Now, to use this, the most important project that we are shifting this effort towards, and it was, of course, a big part of into the deep project, was the protecting Aegean coralligenus, the most vulnerable ecosystems of corals that are found up to 270 meters depth. They're over 7,000 years old. They are protected according to paper laws and paper parks and paper legislation, but in practice, they face daily the danger of irreversible destruction by trawling because they're not mapped. We don't know where they are. We can't define no trawling zone over those habitats. Next one. So, as I said, existing legislation cannot be enforced without accurate mapping. Conventional maps or methodology take years, and in a country with over 18,000 kilometers of coastline, with so many 3,000 islands and islets, it will take many centuries to do it with conventional methods and a lot of money. So we developed this low-cost rapid assessment technique where we take data from the fishermen. The artisanal fishermen use specific locations of coralligenus as their fishing grounds for the long lines and traps and others. They share with us when they believe what we do and they trust us. They share with us the locations. We go to their boats. It takes a lot of time. And then we get this data. And then with our boat, with our gear, we do rapid assessment to prove the existence of this area, and then we are doing big time lobbying in order to enforce these no trawling zones. And in this process, we also engage the communities. They are very essential that, we might leave, we might come and find you in beautiful Germany or in other parts of the world. They will be there. They know that. So they have to be able to be have the ownership of the conservation of their own resources, which is a result of their own efforts. Next one. So this is the rapid assessment. So our rapid assessment technique is giving a very high value to the local ecological knowledge. What I can say after a lot of time is that you have to ask the right person the right question. You might phrase it wrong, you might get wrong data. So if you do this in other locations, I would always advise give time so that you are able to, test it once, twice, 3 times to manage to train yourselves, those who are getting the knowledge, how you can get it. And then once you find a good formula, that can be ongoing. For us, it's for coralligenous habitats, but also for invasive species, also for marine mammals, as Nuria said earlier, and also for illegal fisheries. And especially in the coralligenous, which is our key agony and concern, to be able to protect before it's too late, before further destruction is carried out. We have been able to successfully identify and map these habitats, starting from the knowledge of the citizens, the local ecological knowledge from fishermen, which is an invaluable source of information, which I need to repeat, we are at risk of losing because older fishermen are leaving the job and younger fishermen don't have this knowledge, and younger fishermen don't really go into artisanal fisheries anymore in the Mediterranean. Next. So next steps for us is to continue working with fishermen in further areas, in further locations, continue mapping as much as we can with the research posts, continue engaging more and more of the community. 16,000 are the artisanal fishermen of Greece, so we have to select the right ones and manage our time so we can be efficient and together lobby, to promote conservation. For this, of course, we have a lot of international partners, and for this, I'll make an open call that we need help, we need good cooperation, other points of views, the tools that I know you've been developing into the deep, and we are part of this process through my colleague team. Grangian is invaluable because, as everyone said, going through data, going through image takes so much time. We need technology to be able to make us more efficient, to bring a result in a bigger area. So thank you Into the Deep for having this amazing initiative and including Archipelagos Institute in it. And I very much look forward to continuing working all together.
Great. Thanks so much, Anastasia. We will move on. As I mentioned before, if you have any questions also for Anastasia, please put them in our Q&A, and we'll try to get back to those questions then there. So without further ado, we will continue with Berta Companies from Minka. Are you here? And can you turn your...
Yeah, I don't know if you can...
There you are. Great.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, I'm Berta and I work at the Marine Institute here in Barcelona as well. And I'm going to be presenting Minka, which is a citizen science platform. If you want to move ahead, please. All right. So basically, I've tried to reduce and compact everything. So if there's anything that it's not clear, if you want to ask later on or something, like I'm more than welcome to help you with that. Basically, Minka is a citizen science platform. It's created as a fork of iNaturalist, but it's been like developed and it's on continuous development. So we are like changing, and instead of just recording observations of biodiversity, we are expanding that into like fulfilling other SDGs. So basically, we've got a citizen science platform that I encourage you to like just check it out on this link, which we just chose the name Minka. It means working together for the community, which means that everyone can contribute either with their knowledge or like with their observations and so on. Minka has been endorsed by the EU missions. Then it has also been recognized as an accelerator of the SDGs because it contributes at the moment to like the underwater life, then the life on Earth, and then it's somehow an aggregator of like different things. But as I was mentioning before, we are expanding it, and soon to be, it's going to be able to be reporting like non-biodiversity observations, as it could be, for instance, like marine litter, as well as temperature and other like physical parameters. And on top of that, we are helping as well with the like contributing to the challenges that the United Nations identified on the Ocean Decade. Next slide, please. And how do we do all this? Basically, what we do is doing data collection. The data collection can be done either by individuals that just go to the ocean and then they just capture pictures of organisms and then they upload them into the citizen science platform. Or for instance, when these people like just volunteers take part on several activities run by either dive centers or like snorkeling tours or like any like boats that are doing like some animal watching. So any of them like could be a choice, or like some people that just go walking on the beach, for instance. All of that, it's been uploaded into the citizen science platform. For instance, if you see, like, you could just like grab all the observations that you have captured on one of your trips and drop it over there. Once you drop it, the validation process consists on having like, always you need to have like either one photography or one sound, like for instance, on the case of like bird watching, or in the case of like cetacean, if you are like with a like microphone and you're just capturing like the sounds, then you would be uploading it, and then it needs to be able to be checked by someone. Other than that, you need to have like always the location, otherwise it cannot be like validated, and the timing for the observation. Then you need to always have like 2/3 of agreement of the people. So people like that are interacting with your observation can validate or corroborate what you're saying. So if you know what's on the observation, in this case, one of the volunteers pointed out one species, but it was the same gender, but like not the species that she highlighted. And therefore, there was one of our experts who pointed out which was the right name for the species, and then it was validated by 2 others. Then next slide, please. Then all this data that we gather, it's really important for like several uses. Like, first of all, it can be used by the scientific community. In order to be used by scientific community, it always has to have to reach the research grade, which is achieved when you've got the 3 things that I was mentioning before. Let's say the media, like the geolocation, the timing, and then the species level, like, and agreed by 2/3 of the community at least. Then this can be used by any scientist because it's been uploaded into like JBIF repository. Then other than that, like, it can be used by local administrations, which is really important as well to manage properly the regions. Let's say we've got a lot of city councils that uses the data that has been gathered by all these volunteers. And then on top of that, it has always returned to the community itself. Among the results, it highlights that we are gathering like seasonal maps for a species occurrence. Then it's also like a great highlight to be able to detect invasive alien species. So basically it works as an early warning monitoring system. Obviously, because researchers cannot be everywhere, as you know, like all you know. And therefore, like, if you have people like spread around the different territories and they can be just like having a look, we can gather like a lot of information. Some people may be able, like, for giving you an example, last year on April, there was like the first time that we spotted one seaweed in Barcelona. That seaweed is an invasive alien species. At the moment, it's the 10th more recorded species in the like the Barcelona seaside. So it's impressive how much it grow and how much it developed on the area. But like, if we don't have this way of like recording it or like just seeing how it develops, like, we cannot do anything in order to like try to tackle at least the presence of that. Moreover, like, we also get like the monitoring of sensitive or under threat species, and then it's a good way to like have, like, as I said, people spread across the territory, like contributing and helping out. If you see on this image, there's like a visor of a map. This is the website of the Atlas of Biodiversity in Barcelona. 3 years ago, the Barcelona City Council just had it with land animals, and they didn't know that we had like a database on marine biodiversity as well, spread across the territory. Mainly, if you want to know what it was in that, basically they just had like plants, like trees. Then they had like a lot of birds, but they didn't have like any knowledge whatsoever on the marine biodiversity in the area. Once they spoke with us, we had like more than 120 different species of fish, like, recorded across like our platform, and we provided the data. All the data has been like, before it was posted over there, we talked with the volunteers that have been reporting this data and was like, hey, do you want to contribute to this atlas? People have like they choose the license. So like, if they don't want to share it, obviously it's up to them. And then we already don't count on that. Like, we just use it for like scientific purposes. But like, if they have it like, for instance, EACEA, that you can just like provide it to for instance, on this, that they can show it on their website, but they need to always be citing the name of the person who took these observations. So they were contributing on that, and right now we've got like 130 different species of fish in Barcelona, and this year we provided a couple of more layers, one of crustacean and another one from mollusca, which is like, if you want to keep in mind, they had, among all the biodiversity in Barcelona, they had like the most outnumbered species were like birds, and at the moment there's more like fish recorded on Barcelona biodiversity area than birds. And then if you want to move to the next slide, please. All right. On that, like, something that you are like all mentioning is that the community engagement is key in order to make like a citizen science project successful. In our case, we have tried to do our best to like just keep on moving on that. And basically what we have found is that obviously we just like volunteers, like we don't have like anything. Obviously they are like a really added value, but we need more parts on that. It's the same as like if we just come on the academia, we are not going to be able to do anything. So what we propose, and so far it's been quite successful, is this engrenage of like 4 different pillars. One would be obviously the academic, and the second one would be the participatory community, like mainly with our volunteers. But also we are counting on 2 more layers. One would be the facilitating community, and the other one is the mobilizing or the energizing community. How does it work? Basically, we are counting as well, not just like on the research institutions and the volunteer participants, but we also are counting on the local governments and local administrations who are like participating on that and like also contributing on that. And then on top of this, we've got the mobilizing community that would be, for instance, for instance, like dive centers, or like they would be like snorkel guide tours, or we have like the Underwater Catalan Association, which is contributing as well. Other than that, like some other companies, some schools, and everyone who can be in direct contact with the volunteers. So it is a little bit more complex than how you usually like have just like the academic people and the volunteers. Like there's more people involved on all that, and so far it's been successful. And on the pictures you can see one of the like the communities that we have been gathering, which would be like run by one of our research projects and the collaboration of one of our partners. And you can see a couple of pictures in there. One, it's from one of the activities, that one of the ways that they have to like get in touch with the volunteers would be through the social media. And the other one would be like just one of the activities that we have been running with them. And next slide, please. We can move ahead to the next presentation, but if you have like any doubts or anything, I'll be more than happy to assist you.
Great, thank you so much, Berta. And
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And as she said, if you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A and try to get answer them there. So then I will introduce Christophe Galler and leave the floor to you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So thank you for the opportunity. We'll be talking about the BlueDOT. And here I put our beautiful planet on the sandy background because the 70% of the world's ocean is actually our blanket against climate warming. The ocean is picking up heat, right? So on next slide, I'm showing the sea surface temperature that really picked up last year. And here the graph shows how 2023 drifted away from previous year's measurements starting in the spring. And on this next slide, well, it never dropped down. So we have the warmest year on record. And next slide, more relevant, is that the Mediterranean was all sunny, no rain, and while the Atlantic was rainy all the time. And now in September, we have atmospheric river flooding Central Europe. So this could be related to the evaporation in the Mediterranean. So it seems our self-regulating system of the ocean picking up heat has run off. And on the next slide, the BlueDOT started when I traveled for a family vacation on Malta. And there I talked with a very experienced diver. George has more than 1,600 dives. And he told me that for the past 5 to 6 years, he didn't see the ocean cooling in the winter time. And that was before we could see the heat wave popping up in the sea surface. And so it tells us that the ocean heat waves could be getting deeper in time, like earlier in time. So, but we have no means to capture that phenomenon, because on next slide, this is the two ways of measuring the ocean temperature. We have satellites that measure the sea surface. They measure only the first millimeters. Or we have these Argo fleets, which are these scattered buoys that drop up and down in the water column. But crucially, they are missing the first 40 meters of the water column and all the coastline. So on the next slide, this is what we want to bridge. We want to bridge this data gap. And the BlueDOT is about that, covering this first 40 meters where we were observing in the past now 5, 6 years or 7 years, an ocean heat wave that we don't have on record. So while building this project, I was asking, so how can we constrain that and substantiate these observations since we did not measure it? And the answer came on the next slide, because I'm a diver and I'm a scientist. And when I dive with a dive computer. We use it for safety, but there's also a temperature sensor inside. And so we measure it all the time, but we don't do anything with this data. So the answer is simple. We have to put all these individual dive computers' data together in a centralized database so that we can analyze what has happened in the past. And the great thing about this is that we use it for 40 years. So we have recorded this ocean heat wave in the past. So we can rewind what happened and we can forecast the future as well, or help to forecast it. We are 6 million divers, so it's potentially huge. And on next slide, our goal is basically to put it in this database. So we have now the portal is online, where here we describe the project and how to basically participate in it. The goal being to make this global database. And our mission is to enable divers to upload their dives, and so that we can use it for science. So on the next slide, you have in there explained the flowchart on how to upload. And it's very easy because you did the job, basically. If you're a diver, you just have to share it. And to share it, we use Divelog, which is the Facebook of diver. So it's fun as well. You can upload your dives there, create an account, upload your dive, and now the founder of Divelogs is participating with us and has put in place a consent pop-up, and it will ask you if you want to consent to share your dives. If you do, then the data will be transmitted to us totally anonymously. We will not know where it comes from, but we will have the key for informations. We will have the temperature profile, the depth, the location, and the time. This is what we need. And yes, so that's basically it. On next slide, we have also a calibration dive site concept. So our project runs for the seeding part, or the starting kick is running for 18 months. And during these 18 months, we are partnered with 2 dive bays in the Mediterranean, where we know the ocean heat waves was happening. So there we're going to sensibilize the people there to share their dives, but we also put in place sensors at frequently visited dive sites, sensors like these guys. We are using commercial for now, but we are developing our own. And when you're going to dive on these sites, you're going to be able to compare your data measured by your dive computer to the calibrated ones. So this is a way, on next slide, to provide a standardized, reliable data for us, to have calibrated data that can be used for scientists when they go on our database, and so that they can use their the data. For example, Copernicus could use it now. So it's a citizen science. We need to communicate this. We want to promote also ocean literacy, and we will provide some information on the science behind in the future. On next slide, that's basically my takeaway home message. You have to spread the word. You have to help us to understand what is happening, because it's potentially a tipping point in climate change. And by that, you just have to share your dives. You just have to have fun and go diving. Go diving in the winter. It's an undersampled time of the year. We need information about that. And basically through this webinar, it's great because I want to engage you also, specialists, because you're diving professionally, most likely, and you also have a lot of information on your dive computers. So please create an account on Divelogs and upload your dive. And we're going to be monitoring this. I'm going to be picking up on what has been suggested to make a rewarding mechanism. Somehow we don't have that in place, so that's a great idea. But basically the job is done. You just have to upload your dive, and there is no extra work. And on the last slide, this is our team, and all the funding agencies is DATI pilot funding, so it's BMBF. And yeah, all the other participants. Don't hesitate to contact me. I will be joining room 2, although I could have joined room 3. If you have any questions, you're welcome.